permits going on is about 30 right now. So, with Donnie Folks, our new property maintenance. Folks, he was well worth the investment. He is getting out there, he knows how to deal with the public, and he's going to be a great asset for our community on that aspect. He's currently sent out about 37 letters, and again, that was a short time period in April that he was hired on. We've got 37 letters that have been issued out for different violations. He has received 5 complaints that he's been looking into, and we're going to continue to monitor the amount of complaints that we get in, and hopefully to kind of help you out as well. Know that some folks are calling in complaining, and their information is given to us. Finally, the fire inspections, we've done a total of 18 fire inspections. We've issued 3 new occupancy permits, and that tells us that there's 3 new businesses operating now in the city for the month of April. And of course, new liquor license renewal, and that's something that we go through starting this time up to the 1st of July. So, I do want to give a big thank you to the city of Kennett council members. Mayor Wayne, James Wayne, thank you guys. Okay?
You're welcome.
All right. So, also I did include a roster finally. This is our current roster that we have. Just some information for you. There are some names and numbers there for you, but also this is what we've had up at a maximum. And again, we do understand there's budget constraints as far as having part-time personnel. So we do understand that, and that's something that we, between the fire committee and finance committee, that we'll kind of work things out there. But that's just some FYI stuff. We currently operate with 2 full-time positions and 6 part-time is what we currently have on our roster.
How do you differentiate full and part?
I'm sorry.
How do you tell full from part?
Well, the boldness of the lettering, so depending on your copying. Also, I have down there 128, 129. I say the Jones Brothers. They are full-time with us as well. So those folks may not be highlighted down there as such. The second page of that just kind of gives you a breakdown of some of the additional materials on there. We do have hazardous materials technicians. Again, it's very fortunate that we have paramedics on duty now, as well as some EMTs. We have 1 licensed practical nurse. And, firefighter is when someone is certified at level 2 through the state of Missouri. A basic just means that they have the basic 36 hours, which is a kind of minimum that we like to have here in the city. Basic 36-hour level training. So, in the AO, for those that don't have an officer status, we have them listed as apparatus operators, which denotes that they are full-time, and they're good to go with driving the apparatus on a full-time basis. Anything for me? Questions?
What is the city ordinance on having a dumpster in your yard or driveway? Not to put you on the spot, I should
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that.
You got 30 seconds.
I know it differentiates. I said that twice tonight. But
Big word.
Word for the day.
Big words,
Yeah,
I
word
know.
for the day.
It's the only one I know. Like my dumpsters, the big ones, and apparently, because there was something about they had to have lids on it or something. Well, my kind,
You don't have
there's
to.
no lids.
Well, no, this is, I'm talking like a 2 or 4 yard dumpster
Okay.
that's at a house constantly. Is there
Mayor, I wouldn't want to give you a specific answer, but
that's a big question.
I really have some concern whether if it's that big commercial dumpster, I believe.
No, this is just a small,
Residential.
2 yard or 4 yard dumpster that,
Yeah.
you always see it there, it's always full, it's never dumped, and, but it's just,
I do know property maintenance is trying to keep up with those as well, besides checking the properties. Dumpsters kind of been an issue, and they are kind of to watch those. So if something comes up, they do try to get all of the landlord, tenant, and then finally, they need to get all of the company that handles the dumpsters as well. They're doing that.
okay.
But it's at a single family.
That was single family, yeah.
Yeah.
South Main.
I did not think that was allowed, but
I don't think it is, but I'll check on it.
if they have a building permit, apparently.
Well, that's
Yeah.
different.
It's a little bit
If they have a
different.
building or a building,
But I don't know how
building
you, I
waste,
don't know
that's
how you do
temporary.
anything with a 4-yard dump.
Right, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like, 400 block of South Main. There's been on there for quite a while. I'll check.
And we'll look on it as well for property.
But then I've seen a few others around, but I didn't know what the aspect was.
There is an aspect to it, and it has been addressed to Victor and the property manager, so.
Get proper
Appreciate it.
at the end of it.
Thank you.
Hey, no bark back either, right?
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, fire, police. Police report.
Paul, it does get easier as you go. All right, just a couple things real quick. The radio repairs have been completed by Motorola. It did not totally fix our problem. We're still having issues with the radios digitizing and the officers and dispatchers not being able to understand exactly what's being said sometimes. So I contacted Moshwin, which oversees the Missouri State, this radio system that we're currently on, it's a digital system. They're supposed to be here sometime this week to help us pinpoint what the problem is exactly. It could be something as simple as a programming issue, it could be one of the repeaters, it could be anything right now, but they'll have this stuff to help us pinpoint exactly what it is. It could be something as simple as maybe there's something here within the city that's called interference. And if I can locate that, then maybe it kind of helps our system a little bit better. Hopefully I'll have some answers by the end of this week and have a report back to this council meeting. Also, on our recruiting efforts, a lot of you know we're 5 officers short. We've got 3 of those slots filled. I've also talked with Tom Burns, who is the director of the Police Academy in Poplar Bluff. They got a group that's graduating. He has 2 right now that he's recommended for hire. One of those individuals has reached out to me, so hopefully we'll get his application this week and start background, hopefully get one of these guys at least. Right now, neither one of them's committed anywhere, but one has reached out to me. To me, that's pretty encouraging. We'll continue recruiting efforts until we get up to full staff. And then the next meeting, I'll also have last month's crime stats ready for you. Right now, that's all. If there's any questions.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
might be Terry's answer. What can be done about the parking in the streets?
If they're well, one, it depends on where it is, but if they're blocking traffic, they can be cited.
I'll see you after.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I don't know that it's really a street department, but this is kind of filling our bailiwick. The Earth Day, I approached you all about having the free roll-offs at compost. We feel like it was very successful. We had 7 empty roll-offs there to start the morning. By 10 o'clock, we had 3 of them completely full. It did slow down a little bit. We ended up with 5.5 full at the end of the day. If we hadn't used our backhoe to rearrange things in there, we probably could have filled up 10 or maybe 11 with that. Steve was out there pretty late in the day, and saw, well, you were out there actually twice, and saw the activity. But we received 92 loads during that 8 hours. Had 2 people there. They were fairly busy doing that, but we also took in 24 loads of limbs, leaves, and grass clippings, and sold compost to 2 customers. So, it was a fairly good day. Don't have the invoices in yet from the roll-off, the way the timing fell. It'll be next month. The bill just came in yesterday, I guess, and talking to Leslie. So, the cutoff date was the 20th, which is when we actually did the work down there. So the pickup came next week, so it'll be a month before we actually have the cost on those to haul off. But we didn't get all the mattresses and furniture that's out there on the streets, but I feel like we got a few. We had 2 landlords. One of them brought us 4 loads. And we were calculating whenever load came in, approximately how much it would cost if they were paying for it. And those 4 loads would have been about $570 that they brought in free. Another landlord brought in 10 loads, and that was about $350. That was small, there were pickup loads and small trailers on that, so, we do feel like that, it was possibly a good investment. We'll just have to see when the invoices come in, but we had many people thank, Gerald was there all day, we had many people thank us. They thought it was wonderful, appreciated the opportunity. They said they knew the dumpsters were out there, but this spurred them to go ahead and do some cleaning and bring things out there. So it might be something to consider doing again in the future or something. One of the big questions I'm getting right now is what's going on 5th Street, down on Michael, William, and Tico. The City Light Gas and Water's having trouble with their sanitary sewer in that area. I understand, Mayor, you may know more from yesterday, but they're moving forward. They haven't had a contract completed yet with a company to come in and do that, but they're going to dig up the street starting at the lift station there at Buffalo Ditch and go all the way to Tico, there at Tico Pharmacy, and replace the sewer line in that, which will also take out the intersection of Michael and 5th, William and 5th, and half of Tico. Tico is a new intersection, so it's new concrete. Now it'll be a couple of years newer even, so. We were planning on overlaying 5th Street this year with asphalt, so we'll use the other side of the city to help pay for part of that this year, so. We'll take our money and go someplace else and do a little bit more. Harrison Street, we had a problem with that. One of the pipes separated a couple of inches. We were at the committee meeting, saw a small separation in that. We got that pipe fixed. We backfilled with chat, but we're gonna wait till we get hot mix in town to make that asphalt patch. The sweeper is still down. We're hoping the technician will be here next week. He's got a brand new service truck, and I think they've said he's been in the shop for 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. A brand new truck, they can't get parts for it. So that's kicked us down the road. But he's got other work down here, he's got another town that's without a sweeper, so I mean, it's high on the priority, but he doesn't have his equipment to work with. So we have demoed some new sweepers over the winter. And today we set up another one for the week of the 20th, probably be about the 23rd, to look at a new sweeper to see actually what it'll do on the street instead of just watching videos about it. So maybe we can move forward with that. We've got, Mark Goddard working part-time entering data in our GIS system, making some good headway with that, with us being extremely short on people, 2 or 3 workers there at times. We've been able to continue adding that. Keith Westerfield was adding some of that, but we've only got 2 or 3 people there. I need him out on the street helping us too. We don't have all of our data in yet, but we're making progress. We're making some plans on getting with the fire and police department on what layers they think we'll put in there. Hopefully, could use Mark to continue doing some of that. Piece of equipment that you had bought for us, the ground penetrating radar, has come in pretty handy over the last month, I guess, in locating some of these problems that we've had along the City Light Gas and Water. And we're looking at a locator to go with our sewer camera that you've probably seen phone company or Jim Ingram, City Light Gas and Water, waving a wand to locate water lines and phone lines. Well, we've got that capability if we buy this a piece of equipment, which is in our budget, to locate our camera when it's underground. We can get a general direction on where it's going this way, but we don't know exactly where it is. When we had the locator in town, we went over and went to an area where we knew, or we felt 100% sure, but weren't sure that we've got a old storm drain line that goes directly under a house. And with the locator, we were able to find it exactly, so we've got photographs of that. And did you get that GPS too?
No, we
Okay,
didn't.
all right, but we know, we know where that is. So that's
We
gonna be
took pictures.
beneficial in different places to use that too. Last thing, to report, is on employees, employee that's out, on sick leave, looks like it's gonna be out for more time. So, you know, we've got a slot, you know, we certainly wanna hold it for him. You know, it may be some time before we have a worker back to work. So, get with you all later on more employees. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Just to answer a earlier question, commercial type dumpsters are not allowed in single family residential units. Anything over 100 gallon capacity is not.
I don't think it's 4, I think it's probably 6. Just drive outside.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that now. So,
That's in section 240.02.
100 gallon is just like a trash can is 90 gallon.
Yeah, that's what the ordinance,
So if they have a building permit, they can have a bigger dumpster.
that's different.
If they have, so they have to have a
This
building.
is, this is the store, this is the collect residential solid waste.
Okay, that's, okay.
Yeah, commercial, for, if you have a building permit, you got a construction or a demolition project
So basically
going
the
on.
houses that have 4-yard, 2-yard, 6-yard dumpsters, that's out of ordinance.
Right.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the approval of the contract for St. Francis Street project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to have the floor for a couple of minutes before we proceed further with the St. Francis Street talk.
Okay. Do you have several questions to go along with this, or?
No, I have a statement I'd like to read.
Okay.
I want to emphatically state that I'm totally and completely in favor of addressing the drainage and right-of-way issues along Missouri State Highway 84 West, the city calls St. Francis Street. I asked Mr. McVeigh, our city attorney, to research the situation as far as who has responsibility for maintenance of the right-of-way. And recently, Mr. McVeigh retrieved a 2012 letter from MoDOT stating that MoDOT has a 1953 agreement that to only maintain the driving surface and not the shoulders. Further documentation was found today that affirms that Andy Carter had recently told Mr. McVeigh that the city is responsible for maintaining the right-of-way, which is 10 to 12 feet on each side of the road. Since the city was supposed to do the maintenance, in my opinion, we as the city management have done a terrible disservice to the businesses and residences along St. Francis Street and to the city as a whole. Concerning the grant, I became aware of the grant paperwork called a Form G narrative on April 9th at the bid opening held that day. To my knowledge, I had never seen that document before that day. The narrative is the base document that spells out the need for the grant. Former Mayor Hancock was there that day and stated that he regretted ever signing the application to what is stated as fact in the narrative was not true, and that he did not read all of it before he signed it. I obtained a copy of the narrative the next day and sent a copy of the narrative to each council person who had not seen it. Bill, I think you were the only one that I did not send it to because I figured that you had it. Sadly, the Form G narrative, which again was written to obtain the grant, contains false information. On page 1 of the narrative, it states that there are 41 commercial businesses and most of 254 homes and yards with rainwater standing and washing into them. That's not true.
Do you have the EPA definition of that?
Excuse me. The narrative implies diseases such as typhoid, cholera, hepatitis, and the narrative says, and so on, are being spread. Typhoid, cholera, hepatitis, and so on are being spread. That's not true. The narrative states that it takes 2 weeks before the water starts to disappear. That's not true. The vote to move forward with this project comes down to some pretty simple decisions. One, do we want to do this even though the cost is more than what the city council initially agreed to, meaning other desperately needed expenditures will be delayed? Two, do we approve this even though the grant award was based on untrue statements? Meaning the monies that we are to receive are not justified. We all swore an oath to uphold the law when we were sworn into the city council. That being said, my vote on moving forward with this project will be no. Thank
We
you.
know that Nancy Dell has agreed to be here via phone if anybody else has any other questions. I know she has addressed with me, you know, like an EPA standard. You know, if you walk through it and you're pulling chemicals into your house, that's an EPA hazard. You know, does water stand out there? Yeah, it does, quite some time. You know, until, you know, the construction next door to me where they leveled off a little bit. You know, having water in front of my business for 2 weeks after it rained, sure does. And so do most of the other businesses down through there. But, you know, to sign a document and agree to it and then bring it to, you know, the very last stage. You know, that document's been out there this whole time. The CDBG actually came, used that document for their inspection, and they agreed with it.
I don't believe most of the people on the council have seen this document.
So,
I could be wrong.
but come under previous administration, but it's all been there.
And I sincerely believe that we are at the very best stretching the truth to its limits.
I would say, I just seen a couple pictures on the last rain we had that, for instance, Farmhand Supply, there was water standing all the
Yes, I
way
know.
up to the door. I just seen, and then there's a couple other businesses right through there on St. Francis standing. Now, it wasn't heavy rain, but I did just see those pictures for the first time.
I drove that stretch several times during that rain. While it was raining, after the rain was over, and a few hours later, looking. Because like I said, to start with, I'm totally for doing something.
I think the pictures.
So I know there was water standing there, sure.
Yeah.
It's on the news anytime, all over the country. You get a big rain and streets in Dallas flood, and streets here and streets there. I think what we've done is we've not done our proper work as a city to take care of that stretch for years.
So,
And so I'm all for doing something, but my problem is we're using verbiage that, like I said, stretches the truth to the max. I mean, and in my mind, it's untrue. That's why I said what I said. And I can't vote for something that's based on false information.
But, Mitzi, can you hear Mr. Freeman?
Barely, I can barely hear anything you said.
Well, really, anybody else have any other questions that you know, explain to the council the process of all that we've gone through. I know we've gone through this before, that, you know, with CDBG, you know, vetting your narrative and agreeing with it, you know, just go through those steps for, so I guess so people can understand that, you know, your state association has agreed to it.
Okay. I will start from the very beginning, how we started this process. That's already reviewed and everything was good to go, but I'll go ahead and start from the beginning. The St. Francis Street Improvement Project has been going on for years. Information and reports have been worked on and compiled since the issue was brought up in the city minutes back in 1953. Over the years, documentation and demographic purpose possible funding to repair and improve this area here on St. Francis. I've been doing this work for dozens of communities, counties, nonprofit school districts for 18 years, so I'm very knowledgeable on how the process works and where the funding can be. An engineer from Rolla called me several times over those months to review the idea of this project. At the time, from looking at everything what this engineer from Rolla did, is he was looking at stormwater for the community. It wasn't feasible due to several components that needed to be reviewed and done at that time. But a year later, I was reapproached and a group team to discuss everything. I met with lots of residents and folks at lunch in Kennett at the barbecue restaurant on St. Francis, as well as Christian Steakhouse on several occasions. And I heard story after story about how bad the street area, how the city's the one that's doing anything about it, how water is trapped in people's homes, there's standing water in the streets and yards, and the smell of mosquitoes that plague the area. Citizens told me, and they would come up to me just out of the blue and tell me that when severe rain hits, this area, along with many homes and businesses in and around the Target area and throughout the community, retains water in the streets, in their yards, because there's nowhere to drain. They said water's dragged into homes and businesses because folks have a lot of issues with their car maintenance due to the number of potholes in the area, and so on.
But there's not
Because when
41.
they're out in the, when they're out
Excuse
in
me,
the
Mitzi?
dark and stuff, and the water is saturated in the yards, you know, you walk through yards and stuff, and you walk in houses, and it's on your shoes and stuff. That's what they were telling me, that they dragged into their homes. Got it.
Mitzi?
These are the stories that I was given.
Excuse me,
Yes.
there's not 41 businesses that are with rainwater standing, and there aren't 254 homes with rainwater standing. Yes, there's some. We do have a problem,
No.
but there's not
We're
that
not,
many.
we're not saying there's 41 homes.
Yes, you did.
We're not saying 200. What we're saying is that Target area, we're trying to tell the Target how many businesses, the question was, how many businesses or homes are in this, starting at the middle of radius of so many miles within the Target area.
The narrative
That's the number that we have
says,
to put in the application.
the narrative
We're not saying
says,
that every single one of them has issues. That's not the point.
the narrative says, and I quote,
I'm sorry.
Current- the narrative says, and I quote, currently, rainwater stands and washes into these 41 commercial businesses along St. Francis and into most of the 254 homes and yards on these adjacent neighborhood streets. That's pretty point blank. It says it stands and washes into 41 commercial businesses and most of 254 homes and yards. Now, if you broke that down and said some, I could live with it. If you broke it down and said how many homes and yards were actually affected, but you've used all the homes in that 2-block area on either side of the street.
No, we're saying all those homes. We never were. What they ask for, there's specific language and specific questions that are asked of us, and we answer them. We had to do a count of how many businesses are from basically the courthouse all the way down to 84. We had to count all the businesses on this area and how many homes. That's part of the test. We just have to show the demographics.
Sure, but you're saying that the water's washing into it and standing in it.
We don't do
That's
that.
not right.
That's not what it's part of. That's not what it's about. We have to basically tell the need. And all these people coming up saying all this stuff, we are not saying that every single person or every single house has an issue. That's just.
But that's what this implies.
That's what it says.
That's what this says. It says that 41 commercial businesses along St. Francis Street and most of the 254 homes and yards on these adjacent neighborhood streets have rainwater standing or washing into them. And that's not true.
And that is within the target area.
That's the target area, I understand that.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
No,
That's exactly what we were saying.
But it said
that's not what this says.
Representatives have come down and looked at this, interviewed people and all this other stuff. It's already been approved. This was done 3 years ago. From the demographics, from the rainwater stuff that we got, it's just a whole bunch of information stuff that's And that narrative is just a small summary of everything that's compiled.
How many cases of typhoid, cholera, and hepatitis have been reported in Kennett, Missouri in the last
I
10
can't
years?
hear you. How many pages was it?
How many cases of typhoid, cholera, hepatitis have been recorded in Kennett in the last 50 years
Due to flooding.
due to flooding?
I didn't hear that first part. I said, what did you say?
He's asking how many cases of typhoid and sickness have been, reported due to flooding.
I don't know. We haven't done that because that's different. That's a totally different aspect of it.
Well, the narrative says that these diseases, these calamities are being spread.
If you contact, that's one of the environmental things, when you call them and talk to them, all drainage projects and stuff, it leads to it. It's not saying there's an actual report that says that there was actually something happening. It's talking about, this could happen. That's what
No,
they do
this
all the
says-
research stuff for.
This
is
says
what
those
they say.
diseases are being
This is part of the
spread.
grant process. This is how programs work in the state and federal government for any project anywhere.
Like I said before, I'm totally for this, for something going on here, for us to repair that. But these statements in this narrative that set up this whole project are wrong. They are not true, and I will not vote for something that's not true. We're gonna get some money out of this, and it's ill-gotten gain.
Duly noted. Do we have any other questions?
Do you want me to finish?
Yeah, if you would like to go ahead and finish your statement on how we got to here.
Yes. From the engineering standpoint, between all that information that you were questioning and stuff, that's from the engineering standpoint. The engineer comes up with all that stuff because the standing water is not drained. It can damage buildings and structures. It can cause flooding. It can cause subgrade weakening. They need to know all this stuff. That's part of the language for any grant that you do. Any grant, any organization will do that. And then muddy conditions are annoying. They cause the property owner. There's a ton for bacteria and chemicals in the water. They can be tracked possibly. There's problems with inhibited growth in the area. It can increase insurance rates. There's all kinds of possibilities. And that's what you're supposed to explain. The impact that this could cause if it's not fixed or if it's not addressed. That's what we were explaining in the narrative that you were questioning.
If I read this
The plan
narrative,
was to create with the engineers, the plan was created with the engineers and advice from CDBG representatives on the application preparation and plan. They're the ones that kind of guide us and tell us how to take care of this, how to move the water, how to explain the narrative in a timely manner, how to avoid environmental hazards, health issues, so on and so forth. After we met with the engineers, the state, and everything on how to prepare this and stuff, and all the research, we got preliminary work done, we got drafts done, and we sent it to the city administration at the time, all the paperwork to review and sign off on the idea and the proposal back in 2016. At that time, everything was sent, everything was reviewed by the administration, everything was signed on, everything. And so then it was sent to the Department of Economic Development for approval. And then 6 other agencies approved the environmental assessments. And this whole process takes 6 or 7 months of detailed review and site visits. So it took 6 to 7 months for everybody to review on the state and the federal level the project, the feasibility of it, all the financial stuff, come do site visits to check everything to see if this was feasible and see if this was legit. And it was approved. And prior to that, the St. Francis Street Committee purpose was to figure out how to improve this area. And as advised by the state program, they advised that we took a target area, so many blocks in and around St. Francis, and spoke to them in the documentation over the years that was provided to us by the city and the residents, which included council minutes, hearings, interviews, photographs, site visits, after rate events, everything. So all that information was given to me and given to us, the state too. all this stuff. And then we used all that, compiled it, and summarized it for the application purpose. Because they basically tell us how to do it, and we do it. So we were given all the information, and we summarize it. And we put it in per their regulations and their guidelines. And I provided a point system that provides a breakdown of how the applications are funded based on cost effectiveness, issues, local effort, past maintenance efforts, things like that.
Sure, you scored this as high as you possibly could.
All the activity to this point has had no issues. The initial site visits, the city reviewed the application, public participation, contract executions, there's not been any issues whatsoever until now.
How many elderly folks have become sick from chemically infested waters in the last 50 years?
No one knows that. No one would know
Why
that
does it
unless
say-
someone
why does
calls
it say-
city and complained unless there's minutes or city documentation on it.
Why
Or
does
those individuals contact the Department of Health and Human Services.
Why is it
Why does
stated?
the narrative state many elderly folks have become sick from chemically infested waters?
Not maybe,
Not maybe, not, they might. It says
They
many,
use the demographics, they want to know how many female head of household people are within that area. They need to know how many elderly.
Sure they
They need
do.
to know how many disabled individuals. All that stuff. It's demographics, it's numbers.
who wrote
And they
this?
use it from the census, they use it from American Fact Finder, all this stuff. All this information has been given or has been compiled based on their criteria.
Who actually wrote
Say
this?
anything that wasn't true, we were told all this information, we summarized it, we put it in the application form. They tell us how to do it, they saw and read everything prior, they said everything looked good, we gave it to the city said everything looked good, and we moved on. And that was 3 years ago.
who wrote this?
Who wrote the
For
narrative?
what?
Who wrote the narrative?
I wrote most of the narrative, based on the information I was given.
So the people that gave us the money came down, read the narrative, agreed with it, and they gave us the money.
They didn't come down and read the narrative, we sent the narratives to them.
Well, I know, but
We
they
sent all
came
of the
down and agreed with
information to the state, and
That
they
doesn't mean it's the
reviewed
truth.
everything, yes.
So you're talking to a state agency that agreed with it.
But that doesn't mean that this is the truth. They weren't here doing a big rain event, they didn't go out to the medical facilities and ask if people got sick.
Yeah, but how many people are gonna sit there and say, you know, I was dancing in the floodwaters and I got sick from it? They're not gonna sit there and say that.
Listen, when we do grant projects, they don't go around, they don't have the time and the manpower to go around and interview people.
But can't you word it differently?
Based on the engineering report provided.
Why would we wanna word it differently now whenever it's done?
It's
already approved.
And they go on
It's,
the
and the state approved it.
Not by us.
They just,
The state's
they go on the demographics, they go on the city's financials, and they go on a plan to basically make a permanent solution. The bottom line is, they're going to fix the drainage and to repair the street to make it more viable for the citizens of Kennett, the future citizens of Kennett, and the visitors. And some of the questions they ask is, if this project is not awarded, you know, what would happen? What is the potential? And then basically you start telling them, you know, all the potential stuff and all the environmental stuff that would be put in the application. That's based off of engineering information that we're given, based off environmental information that we're given, things like that.
But the ones from the city council that signed off on this was the former mayor Bob Hancock, Ken Freeman, Nick Weatherwax, and Neil Bradley, is that correct? That was one of the forms that you sent me.
Those were the four that signed all the financial papers after everything was approved. Whenever we set up all the financial accounts and everything to receive this grant money.
But I
We
had,
haven't drawn down any grant money because we have to approve the contract before we.
if I had read this narrative prior to being asked to sign that document, I would have never signed it. I was not given a copy of this, and I believe that no one on the council saw this except for maybe a few people.
I can't figure out why I never saw it when that's my committee. I don't
You just
know
answered-
anything.
you just answered a
I
huge
cannot
question
help you
about
it.
with anything, because even the meetings I was unaware of. None of this stuff was unaware about until about 3 months ago. At the same time, so I can't help you with those.
So what is this three?
But even after, Tuesday's meeting, your committee voted to do pass this.
Yes, we wanted to bring it to the committee.
Yeah,
Exactly
and,
right. We voted to pass this, bring it to the council, because it has to be voted on, and then we said that we would accept that bid if the city chose to continue on. We would, that bid was accepted.
And that is what would be voted on tonight, is accepting the bid.
Yeah, and
Then what's the next vote?
there isn't.
Yes, there is.
Well, it's-
We have to approve the contract.
Approved contract.
So this isn't the-
Terry, are we gonna, do you see any reason why we would be liable for that money? No. Well, that's my question. We need to fix the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that's just me. As long as we're not liable to the state, I
You
appreciate.
will not be liable.
Yeah, I know, I'm just asking our lawyer, that's it.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready to
I just
go.
thought that you're talking to me.
No. I appreciate Mr. Brimmy's, feelings, tenacity.
Okay.
I respect
Any
it.
other questions?
What is the difference, if we were talking about this, in the concrete, the difference in the concrete, to save money? What is that
Took out the
gonna,
wire and put in fiber.
what is that gonna do to us over time? They're huge, they use our town, the 18-wheeler trucks use our town as a thoroughfare.
I'll tell you this, at the transfer station, the walls of the transfer station the fibers are sticking out, and a loader bangs into it for the past 15 years, and it's still stacking.
The concrete at our shop is fiber, just like what they're discussing. We have trucks in and out of there every day, and we've had zero issues out of
So
it.
it's very strong.
Yes.
It was my suggestion that we at least include the fiber instead of the wire.
Yeah,
With the cost that we received on the first bid, we were trying to figure out a way to reduce the cost.
Well, I
The
understand.
hand labor to bend the wire and hold it in place, push it down in the concrete, pull it back up to try to maintain the middle of the concrete where the wire needs to be.
I just think the worst thing we could do with this amount of money would be to use something that go, oh, it's 10 years later and we've got problems.
But that's the wire mass, you got last, well, you got an engineer in the room, he can answer that.
Yeah,
And why you're asking?
I don't think you'll live long enough to see that concrete.
all right, that's what I wanted to know.
Thank you.
I plan on living a long time too.
you'll get there.
Okay, they're only making about 35 or 40% of the wire they used to make 20 years ago.
Okay,
The trend is
that was
away.
my question.
The
It
trend
should
is
actually
away.
be stronger
Yeah,
than the streets are.
Good question.
Because we don't put fiber in the concrete we pour on the streets. So it should be stronger than where we're pouring streets at.
Okay. Yeah, because it's going to get that a lot more traffic
Right.
though.
Yeah, all right,
All right, ready to go?
thanks, Bitsy.
All right, just hang on for a little bit. In case there's any more questions. So the motion on the floor, I guess, from the street committee, with the finance committee's approval, is to award the contract to,
Somebody needs to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
okay.
Jacob made a
To
motion.
accept the bid.
To accept it.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept the bid from, I'm gonna mispronounce it, Lupe,
Loppy.
Loppy Construction for a total.
So now discussion.
So now, any further discussion?
I would like to say from the street committee, the way we viewed this was, after talking to Mr. McVeigh, and liabilities, things like that, the chances of us having to pay anything back, we felt like that was not an issue for us to worry about at this time. That it's kind of, we've got this money invested in it, and although everything you're saying I agree with, it's not got anything to do with where we're at right now. And so the committee agreed that it was time to vote for this, get on with it, and get something done.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have to,
With,
Is there a roll call?
No, no, it's.
oh,
then, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I thought it didn't have to
You don't have to be.
No, we just,
be. It doesn't have to be a roll call.
we just do it.
Well, unless the voice vote doesn't have a.
I figured it was no, so I.
Well, there's one, so. So all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Nays?
No.
So motion passes. So next step is, so the next step is the contract. Nancy?
Are we talking to me?
Yes. Sorry.
Well, that bid is, they basically, if you accept the bid, then we're gonna move on to the proceed with the, contract, to sign the contract.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we
what
have
you
to,
said.
okay, so we have to bring back the vote on again, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't, the city can't have a contract unless the city council approves it.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Okay, so you now know what the next step is. This is my first rodeo on this aspect, so.
my God. All right.
Well, now that the city council accepts the bid, we have to get the minutes from this council meeting, and I'll need a copy of it to give it to the state to approve it, to show that Randy was selected by the city. And then next time we'll move on to the contract aspect, where we got to get all the contract papers together. And then there will be we'll have another meeting within no earlier than about 30 days, because the contractor will have to get all of his bonds secured and taken care of. We'll compile the contract papers and everything, and then we'll meet to have all parties sign the contract. And then we'll have a pre-construction conference with the contractor to go over basically the entire project and the plan of attack, when he will start, how long it's going to take, everything he needs. He'll disclose stuff to us and vice versa.
Okay, so, looks like our next city council meeting in that time period would be after June 4th, you said no earlier than 30 days. So that would be the June 18th board meeting?
Either the first or the third, whatever board meeting in June. I'll get with since the council did approve it tonight, I'll get with the contractor tomorrow and see how quickly he can get his bonds and stuff, and then Beth and I have to get all the contract papers ready. We have to send them to the state, they have to review to make sure we have everything included, and then we'll set the meeting.
Okay, all right, because it's, the 4th would be 28 days, so, if it
We
can,
will try to shoot for the 4th if possible.
okay. But then the other one after that would be June 18th.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that he's anxious to get started.
Okay, because he's currently up at Dexter right now, doing work?
He's doing work in Dexter right now, but he's from Perryville.
Okay,
But yeah, I'll get in touch with him, and then I'll get in touch with the representatives of the state and see how quickly we can move on this. And we can probably get everything done for you.
okay, all right. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks. Okay. New business, fireworks.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah, for the last 25 years, we've had the same company that has provided our fireworks for 4th of July, and they're doing it again this year. Same price and all that. But when I was talking with the man, he said, on page 3 of the contract, if y'all want to look at that, like in the middle of the page, there are 2 options, and he said either one would save us money. We can do the 1 year like we've always done, but he said we've always provided your fireworks for the last 25 years, so it's kind of safe to assume they might do it again for the next several years. They have a 3-year contract option where they would add an additional 10% of the product each year for the next 3 years. or they have a 5-year contract option, if we were interested, where they would add an additional 15% of the product each year for the next 5 years, and in addition, will reduce the price by 15% on the 5th year.
Have we ever tried to bid this out? You said we've been staying with this company, have we tried other options?
I have not this year. I
Well,
didn't.
we need to do that before we commit ourselves to 3 years or 5 years.
Okay.
I would think
I
so.
think it's been handled by the people that donated the money.
Yeah, but we have an issue there too, which Linda will cover that.
We, in the past, we've had, it's generally a $5,000 show. We've had 2 people who have donated $2,500 each. This year, we have 1 person
So we have to
donated.
make up the other 2,500. So it's gonna affect us.
I agree with Steve on that.
So we just want to do just the 1 year this year and then for, before next year.
Are we committed to that already?
I've talked to him, I've not
Okay.
actually sent it to him, but the time is getting really short.
Well, we probably,
They probably need to get to, get him in line now.
Yeah.
As close-
Yeah.
as
let's go
close
ahead and
now
do it
as
for
you
this
can.
year,
And then,
and the 2,500 can come out of the tourism tax. And get this year going, and then try to bid it out before we commit to a longer term with this company. That'd be okay?
And what about the liability and coverage? That it says, yes, please, but.
if, he just says if you, want us added as additionally insured, and I said, yes, please, because
Yes.
this is the thing.
We
I'm
need to
gonna
be,
say.
we need to be
Okay.
included.
That way they would at least provide a defense.
Right, we always get that. All right.
Make a motion to accept the bid for 1 year.
I'll
1
second
year,
that.
okay, thank you.
And I guess we gotta find other companies that do this.
I'm sure there's more companies out there.
And it'd also be nice, maybe find a few businesses in town to
Yeah.
pick up the rest and.
That's another option.
Do a little fundraising aspect on that end.
And I think this year they're gonna do it at the airport as well, instead of, it's gonna be a little closer.
Yeah, that
Should be a
was
lot
great.
better view. We have a motion second.
Motion is
Give me your
second,
vote.
call for a vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
yes?
Yes.
All right, any nays? Vote two. All right, next on the agenda is set a public hearing date for sales tax allocation request for the new fiscal year. And that would be
Next council meeting, or?
the 21st.
May 21st?
Do we need a motion on that, or just set the establish the date?
I think better to have a motion.
Motion. I'll second it.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, last one is ordinance for a 4-way stop at 3rd and Randall Street.
I'll make a motion.
Wait a minute.
He has to read it first.
Hold horses.
It's been there a while.
First reading, an ordinance amending Schedule 9, Section 335.040 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kennett, Missouri, to provide for the placing of stop signs at the intersection of Randall Street and 3rd Street to stop traffic traveling east and west on 3rd Street. This is to create a 4-way stop at Randall to 3rd, and this was the intersection that we had a gentleman that was president of the council meeting, the last meeting, complaining about requesting the stop sign.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Tried to do that a while ago.
Second reading. An ordinance amending Schedule 9 of Section 335.040 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kennett, Missouri, to provide for the placing of stop signs at the intersection of Randall Street and 3rd Street to stop traffic traveling east and west on 3rd Street.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Comment?
Sure.
I checked this out, there's a long strip of, no stop signs, nothing in that area. I still would encourage the police to be involved in our, pressure on the citizens to drive the appropriate speed limit. So I don't want the people that we're putting this in for to think that that's it, that we're still gonna stay after this.
Jake?
Yes.
I thought we already did that.
No, second time.
Second.
Second reading.
All right, motion,
Motion.
second,
Wastewater.
roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Mayor's report. All right, it's been an interesting 3 weeks, to say the least. That right now I'm still enjoying it. I figured that's probably gonna stay that direction. A lot of things to learn, a lot of things to pick up on, and procedural manners, wording. I know that's been a big issue in different committees of, not using the proper wording for different aspects. So it's all a learning process, and I really look forward to the continuation. So I would like to, for the public out there, come to city council first and third Tuesday of each month and join in. And, I've had a few contacts, and one person I asked is like, well, if you want to head it up, when he shows up, then we'll see if he wants to go ahead with that little project. It'll be a beautification project, so that it's still, if you bring something to me, I had a pastor once say, if God laid it on your heart, take it to the pastor, then he laid it on your heart to do it. So if you're bringing something to me, be prepared. I'm gonna throw it back onto you to say that, you have that idea, pick it up and run with it. We'll give you all the help we can if that's something the council wants to do. So I look forward to talking with anybody and everybody and going forth from here. Appreciate it.
Before we adjourn, can I ask you a question?
So we're at public comment right now. You still want to ask your question?
Yeah, I'm a public pub.
Okay, go ahead, right there.
And I think maybe after, when are they gonna start spraying the mosquitoes?
Mosquito spray.
I tried to call today and did not get an answer.
Welcome to my world.
Sometime soon, I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. All right, public comments.
Yeah, I got something I'd like to say, gents.
Sure.
Come on.
And you are? Larry McDaniel. Manager, Booty, I'm trying to class. Mr. Pinkbinder's bought some property out there by Plaza Tar. And there's a big hole out there, and he's wondering, since they're gonna tear the school down and school buildings, it's old brick could be put in there where you can start filling up. He bought that land for his grandsons, 'cause he said they're already in real estate, and for them to, they're gonna take over someday. He's already in the
So he's offering a hole to put some fill in.
Yeah, I think they haul it down around Marion and save the city some money, because if they're gonna tear that big school down,
I think, but you might have to go through the school.
I know the contract.
yeah, Victor said they had to come see him, and I went to him, he said they had to come to the council to see if it's okay.
Well, actually, they'd have to go, schools, it's gonna be the schools.
Yeah.
Right,
Property.
they had to go to him to get rid of it. He said they had to tear something down and go to Victor, and he could relay it.
Yeah, it's gonna be their brick.
Right.
I think at the last city council, our street department, Randy, you're talking about you had some stuff to get rid of.
Yes.
But concrete.
On this particular project, they have to go through a stormwater permit, they have to go through the state, and get a stormwater permit from the state. And then after they get that, then they come to the city to get a stormwater permit to fill that in. But it also creates a problem because that's also a drainage way for out through there. So there's have to be work done, part of the city drains out through there and on out to 19 ditch. All of that'll have to go through the state first, come back to the city.
So we have to go through the state part first.
Yeah, that's what the stormwater permit is. Now about the fill, and using the fill, it's it's clean fill. You usually use that, if the bricks are usually okay, but if there's lead paint or asbestos or anything like that, they can't, if that's any part of that, then they can't use that.
Yeah, he didn't want any lumber, was there? He just wanted brick or concrete.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of brick. And I understand that Emerson, they're gonna tear it down. Also, I don't know if they tear perimeters. They're fixing to sell it out.
The brick will have to be certified as non-lead-based paint. No asbestos, no lead, those stuff will have to all be separated out and inspected. But the first step to even consider filling that hole in is gonna have to be a state stormwater plan.
So it goes in the state, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody else coming up? Then we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
And to go into closed session. Is that all in one, or is that two separate?
Ask the man there to
You
get right.
can just announce the adjournment, we don't have to have a motion.
Oh, okay.
So let's say we're adjourned, and go entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'd say the motion is, or the meeting is adjourned, and I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Hi.
Yes.
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 I don't know.